Welcome back, Constantine the Philosopher here. Today I was thinking to talk about money and how to make the most out of it so you can enjoy life, like here for example in the Philippines. Beautiful. Yeah, I mean a big factor in life, to make moves and decisions, and also emergencies or problems arise from money issues. So in order to, I think I read a good, I saw a good slogan from Jack Morgan. Shout out to the guy, excellent videos, very inspiring and funny too, very funny guy. He talked about a rich man is a man with no bills. Somebody told him that, I think his father, his excellent. Yes, a rich man is a man with no bills. For example, here I built a house like I told you before, 25,000. In the middle of nowhere at the beach though. Not as beautiful as this, but equally. And zero rent, zero taxes, zero insurance. I mean, think about that, for a second. I mean, I think the water per month is $1, water bill. Electric, of course, you can have the AC all day for like 150 bucks. I mean, talk about three AC conditioners in the whole house. So yeah, I mean, do that in America, for example, or in Europe. Have the heater on in Paris or England all day long. Good luck with that. Right, $600. I used to have a friend of mine who had a villa. He used to pay then, like when the economy was in good shape 10, 15 years ago, for like $700 the water bill per month. I think electric was like 1,100. I mean, some people pay taxes like, I mean, forget about it. I have friends who pay like, yeah, 20,000 insurance, 20,000 taxes. I mean, probably 40,000 taxes per year. I'm like, dude. So here, for example, that's why I learned, and I'm pretty good at this, thank God, Although sometimes the problem is like sometimes because I'm very good at this, sometimes I get excited and I save and I'm like, I need to buy this, for the business, and I buy a big machine. So those are the things I would say, that's have a hard time, and I think many people have the same problem, where you feel like you deserve it. It's time to to upgrade something. But I always do it for the business. I never do it for for pleasure. But still, even for the business, you have to be very cautious what you invest and if it's the right time. And that's why I'm still struggle. So I would say, try and make sure you keep your expenses down. And what I do, for example, in this case, I make it very simple. I always keep it like, I think Trump is the same way, but I think maybe business people, I learned that from business people who keep it simple. One page, that's all I need. Give me one page with all the notes. I make an Excel sheet, all the monthly bills, the current one, the plan, what can I cut down, what can I, save. Like for example, I would put like the most the subscriptions are the ones you have to be very careful. Like you have ChatGPT, you have this Google Drive, you have some Google Photos, whatever. Just cut down, find the plan that best fits, the thing you're going to use the most of the time. Things you never use. For example, I used to use Midjourney for images to help me. I'm like I don't use it often. I'm like whatever. So chop it. So for example, Starlink, I have a backup portable Starlink. I had it on, I posted, boom, I saved like $100 a month. So those are the things you can learn to just make a sheet, all the total, your rent, your electric. I mean, it's like 10 things, 20 things. How many things you have to really pay a month? Your insurance, your car insurance, your health insurance if you have any, etc. And then start chopping, and then pretend you go somewhere else, maybe another city, and then do the same. See the totals, if the totals add up, and you can save some more money and it's worth, and your job allows you, go for it. So that's what you do. You just try to be smart. Let you are the boss of the money. Don't let the money, like sometimes like you get stuck, and also it's harder when you have like relationships, money in common, or like in the business partnerships, you have expenses that are harder there. So try and keep it as simple as possible, as flexible as possible. Keep the plans monthly, so you can get out anytime. It's better to pay a little extra and get out, than being stuck with long-term contracts. I've been foolish of that myself, or make big commitments like 10,000 classes or some stuff like that. Try for example like use the Andrew Tate the class, use it 1 month, boom, learn as much, get out, if you don't feel it. I recommend, by the way, his class is great, good classes, interesting, for people who begin. Andrew Tate is another great guy who is trying to help the new generation of guys make everybody successful. So yeah, I recommend his classes are great. Yeah, and that's why, you know, I mean, you just test things and you just chop, chop, chop. So, for example, I cut down, like I said, like, you know, the extra internet, a lot of subscriptions, like I said, you know, apps that I don't really use. And then, you know, after a while, you realize that you don't really use so much. You don't need so much, and you can literally chop things to, you know, you can start working like part-time pretty much, and, you know, work anywhere. I mean, you know, if you're especially remotely, like graphic designer or anything that's, you know, content creator, or I mean, sorry, I'm just distracted by the view. Look at that. Wow. Sorry. Yeah, and then at the same time trying to, you know, like I said yesterday, make an escape plan, you know, to have, you know, to be able to enjoy before life goes by. Places like this, you know, like, you know, don't waste, I would say, don't waste much money to, I mean, for me, it's like, I don't like to spend money to Coachella or, you know, events like this, Burning Man, or experiences that I don't really care, you know, like it's too overpriced, you know, for the value. I prefer putting that money in the bank, you know, and then for a big trip, or, you know, something that I can last longer, you know. For example, here I spent $25 a night, you know, in front of the beach, like right here. You know, it's a beautiful place. I can come anytime I want. Boom, boom. I spent like 5 days, you know, 10 days is less than Coachella, probably half off. So, you know, so it's up to you, you know, to decide what's the value with your budget. But I would say, you know, just don't get, you know, don't indulge in the short-term, you know, satisfaction, and look in the long run, because you enjoy better. You know, we have time to savor something than just, you know, rushing in 1-2 day event. And yeah, so another thing I would recommend is always planning, you know, planning your, like I said, you know, by organizing, you start, like, you know, you go in a state of mind where you're on top of things every day. When I wake up, I go to my finance, I check all the balances, you know, if somebody hacked in or something. I try to spread, like, you know, a few accounts, and something goes off, when, you know, something I lose access or something, you know, God forbid, you know, I have, you know, backup. So you have to be like, you know, have, you know, backups, you know, spread your money like 4 or 5 places, you know, just in case something goes wrong, or, and then, you know, but I'm sure there are better ways. I'm not like a financial advisor, but, you know, you have to have like little plans, you know, so things are smooth. Open, you know, I have like accounts, you know, like in France, in Greece, in Philippines, I mean, everywhere, you know. I try to, you know, I mean, nothing fancy, just to, you know, check in case something goes wrong, boom, you know, bam, you know, you don't have to have a heart attack, you know. It's like having backup keys, you know, for your house. You have, like, you know, or, you know, like, you know, make copies of your passport, you know, for example, like, you know, things like this, you know, a safe, you know, lock things, you know. It's basic common sense, you know. It just takes time, it takes practice. Like me, it took years of mistakes, losing stuff, breaking things, to have as many backups and locations, you know, where I can, you know, have a backup plan in case, you know, things go south. And that's another thing, if you want to make a move, you know, financially, put on the side, you know, try and save some money, or have, like, you know, a gig that works, so you can be stable for at least, you know, maybe a year or a few months at least. So let's say, for example, here, if something goes wrong, let's say, you know, and I have to get out of here, you know, I have, like, you know, some money to do that, you know, to be able to go back to where I was. Slowly, maybe not perfectly, but, you know, a starting point to catch up. And hopefully, you know, that doesn't happen, but, you know, that's the thing. It's like a climber, you go forward, and at the same time you look your way back down. I remember one time I was going to the Grand Canyon, going down, and I was like, you know, it's still, you know, it was, you know, it's a long walk down. I was like, it's a big canyon, you know. I was on top, and I was like, I was going down. I was like, halfway, I'm like, oh my God, it's only 2 o'clock, you know. I can nail that, you know. I can come up before sun down, right? And then I realized, like, an hour later, like 3/4 down, I'm like, oh my God, you know, you know, I'm like, wait a minute, the way up is going to be much, much harder. So you have to be very careful, like, you know, the planning has to be very, you know, I think it takes training. It's like a repetition. Just repeat yourself, you know. You learn, you do mistakes along the way. I don't do things perfectly, nobody does, trust me. Even Bill Gates and everybody, they've done their share of mistakes. I mean, look at the divorce they go through, you know. Even Jeff Bezos, you know, they spend a lot of money, a lot of waste. But that's life, you know. You have to just, you know, experiment, you know, be as cautious as possible, you know, trying to, you know, plan it, you know, like I said, chop, you know, things you don't need, you know, big purchases, you know. Another thing I would say, don't rush to buy with, another tip, don't buy with Amazon Prime things, big purchases. Take your time. Like here, I'm happy of this place. It really helped me because, you know, deliveries take 2 weeks sometimes, or maybe a month. So, and sometimes, like, you know, things to be done, like, for example, to put solar power in the house takes like a few months, and you have to put down payments. And I'm like, dude, and then it makes you reconsider. I'm like, you know, maybe there's a better way. And then, for example, in regard to solar panel, I was like scared to break my roof, or, you know, I want to be able to move around. So I'm like, eventually I decided to go something equally priced, even cheaper, with a portable battery. So now I order this portable battery that I can take in my car and boom, go anywhere. And I can have like, and also expandable battery with, solar panels I can, use for like 3 days in a row with no electric, I mean, that's why I put solar panels in the house, So sometimes when you rush, you think, because you're excited, you're like, yeah, this is a good deal, yeah, it is a good deal, but there are other good deals. You understand? There's always a better deal. Like here, for example, like some of these houses, like $1 million, like the lot, this one's $1 million, right? But there could be something like around the place, $25 next to it. How's that? Because I look around, there's always somewhere, something. Just take your time, don't rush. I know, it comes from the guy who's the most rushed person in the world. I'm the most hyper, and trust me, this place helps me to calm down, So I think America, because everything is so accessible, so fast. Now, buy, boom, boom, the music, the market to buy, purchase. It makes you completely crazy. You have so many options, you just cannot stop doing it. So I would say just slow down, take your time. When you have something, take 1 month, I would say, there are some book that advice, I would say just whenever you want to buy something, just write down or something on your schedule, maybe for 2 weeks from now, and then go back and you see you don't want it anymore or something. Most likely 50% you don't need it, or you find something cheaper or better, and then maybe after 2 weeks, forward it for a month later, if you still want it, and then you see after a month or two it's gone. It's magical. Anyway, hopefully those tips help you. I'm gonna keep going with this. I want to enjoy the view here before the water goes all the way down. I went for a swim, as you can tell. I'm all wet, and the dog is not here. It's on the other island. So yeah, have a good day, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a good one.